Hello and welcome back to this Library of Ruina series. In this video, we'll be taking down the Carnival and the fullest office. I'll be going over the fights as well as looking at all of their cards. Let's start with the Carnival. The Silk Makers of the Carnival have the Remembrance passive, which gives them 2 strength when an ally falls, so we'll want to kill them all at the same time, or at least as close as possible. When they emo up, they're quite likely to cast Tailoring, a very strong bomb card that is hard to beat at this stage in the game. Other than that, the other cards to beat are Feast and Will Make Fine Silk. Both have a good block on 1, a bad offensive on 2, and a decent offensive on 3. Will Make Fine Silk is easier to deal with in my opinion, especially since it gives you a fascinating fabric, which can be used to at least partially counter Tailoring. Bizarre Strike looks somewhat threatening at first, 5 stagger damage on hit is nothing to sneeze at, but it's kind of just a worse version of Art of Rapid Steps. Will Be Tasty is like a mix between Art of Rapid Steps and Cut-In, but is, again, generally outclassed by Art of Rapid Steps. As the pre-skipped orders can be a 0 cost if you win a clash with the block die, but has overall lower rolls than Cooking Prep, so again, not really that great. One thing to note is that the last die of Will Make Fine Silk will outclass Feasts when you have 4 pages in hand, including the Fascinating Fabric. But right now, there isn't any page draw, so you're unlikely to hit that amount right now. But the card gets a little better once you unlock some page draw and can be worth using. Now, let's talk about the full stop office. This reception introduces ranged pages. These special pages will always take priority over melee pages regardless of speed. However, melee pages clashing into ranged pages will have their offensive dice added back to the end of the combat page if they win the clash. You can think of it as turning the dice into pseudo-evade dice. The full stop office passives make them very powerful on the first scene, especially Tamaki, who gets 3 power to offensive dice. However, they get less and less powerful as the reception goes on. Eventually, Stefan and Tamaki won't have any more pages, as they're ranged only and the ranged cards are all single use. However, it's better to win before it gets to that point. Having a block die on 1 will be a great boon in this fight, as Headshot as well as Going for Bullseye both have a very strong singular offensive die. Feast and Cooking Prep are good counter pages for this purpose. Additionally, having a strong offensive die on 1 will be good to counter the rest of the range pages. Suppress, Shocking Blow, Destructive Impact, and Tailoring are good pages for this. Now, let's quickly talk about the combat pages a bit more in depth, starting with the melee pages. Full Stop to Life has alright rolls, but a bit too low for a page with only 2 combat dice. From the Shadows has an evade die on 1 with the same value as Full Stop to Life, but is much better because if you can win 1 clash with it, then you'll get a lot more value. Now, let's move on to the ranged pages. Unfortunately, you'll probably never use these because none of the Full Stop key pages have speed, but if you really want to, you can attribute speed to one of them. Return Fire is a decent page. Its rolls are the same as Cooking Prep, but reversed so the offensive dies first. I Hate CQC is also a pretty good page. The offensive die are a bit weak, but the evade die at the end can help blank the opposing page if you got outrolled on the offensive dice. Take the Shot is a more offensive version of I Hate CQC, but 1-5 Pierce is pretty bad compared to 3-7 Evade, especially on a ranged page. At least it's not target spotted though, which gets rid of the 1-5 Pierce in exchange for, well, basically nothing. Indiscriminate Shots is a pretty good page though, rolling an average of 4.5 without the effect, but it's fairly inconsistent so there's a chance you might just lose randomly. Not Another Step, in my opinion, is the best page from this reception by far, with strong rolls and 3 dice on a 2 cost. Unfortunately, since all of the ranged pages are single use, it's usually not worth building a deck around it in my opinion. But if I did, it'd probably look something like this. Headshot and Going for Bullseye are not very good, as although they have a strong die on 1 that might have been annoying to play against, using it in your own decks will leave you open to taking a lot of damage as you'll win the first clash, then need to take the rest of the hits like a champ. Overall, the best part of this reception is the passives. They enable many chooses later in the game, as well as just being overall fairly strong. In the next video, we'll be going over the next 2 receptions in Urban Plague. We give some decent cards and a strong key page. I'll see you soon, and as always, thank you for watching.